This is the Brown Boy Wonders podcast.
Welcome to the Brown Boy Wonders podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about week 4 of the NFL. But let me introduce my guest here. He is the reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight champion of the world, the FIFA king, Misbah. Misbah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. How was your week 4 of the NFL?
Oh man, not too good, not too good. We 3-0 going into Buffalo, but things didn't really work out the way we wanted them to. But it's hopefully just a minor setback. But man, maybe Buffalo is the team to beat now.
Yeah, I think Bills picked it up after the past 2 games because they lost to the Jets, and I forgot who they faced week 2. But
This is
yeah,
the Raiders. Yeah.
yeah, Raiders. But yeah, your Miami is a step back, but I don't know what happened because they were not giving it to Hill.
Man, it's just that, well, they did have some injuries to the offensive line, so that kind of hurt. The Bills were getting a lot of pressure after the O-line got messed up, so there was that. Tua was under pressure a lot of the time. And then but even then, our offense wasn't terrible. It was just the defense was just getting annihilated. I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs were just every play, whatever they wanted to, they're just going after us. That's going to be the issue, especially with the cornerback situation without Jalen Ramsey. He has a meniscus injury, he's going to be out for a couple of months, hopefully back for the playoffs. But yeah, defense isn't too great, but give credit to Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and the rest of that offense. They just ran the lights out and put up 48 on us. So props to them. But we gotta definitely, I think our secondary needs to improve, especially with the way they played last game.
Yeah, I mean your Miami scored like 70 points on Broncos, so I feel like it's like kind of like karma come back to you guys.
Yeah, maybe
Uh,
anyway.
Tua made like 282 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception, and Hill
Hmm.
made only 3 receptions and 58 yards. And your new
Yep.
running back, I don't know about his new, but the what's his
Devon-
name?
Yeah,
Ain't
Devon Ashane. Yeah, Ashane, whatever.
Shane. Eight
Yeah, he showed
carries.
dropped 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 101 yards carries. So it's pretty.
Yeah.
I think you found a line in the bottle with him and Mostert. He's pretty good. I
Yeah,
don't
not
know
too
where,
bad.
but yeah, I mean Miami's facing who next week?
Oh, thank God we're playing the Giants, who looked absolutely maybe even worse on Monday Night Football.
Dude,
So there's a
yeah,
silver lining because that team is in shambles.
yeah. I don't know what's happening. The head coach, him and Daniel Jones, they're not clicking. But I saw that the head coach just threw the laptop or the tablet to him.
Yeah,
Um,
looks like he's pretty frustrated, especially after that pick six that Daniel Jones threw. I mean, looks like it's a rough sledding for the Giants, especially with that offensive line. This might be one of the worst in the league. I mean, you have Daniel Jones running for his life, and the run game's absolutely abysmal. I know Saquon's out, so there's that. So maybe it gets a little bit better after he turns, but I don't really see this team going far at all at the way they're currently playing.
no, it's also same thing with like Steelers. Uh,
Oh yeah.
they they are not the same. I believe that the Steelers should like hire new coaches or something. I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the post Ben Roethlisberger era now, moving on with the new quarterback, Kenny Pickett. I mean, it's been a struggle these past couple of weeks. I think he did get injured, I think, at the last bit of the game. I think he said he'll still play next week. But yeah, it's just not clicking, I guess, right now at the moment. He's still taking a time for him to kind of, I feel like, feel comfortable in a situation. And I think it's still too early to say for Kenny Pickett. It's only his second year, so I would give him a bit more time kind of running the offense and things like that. But they're definitely not headed in the direction they want to. So I would say maybe give it a bit more time, see how it goes. But they got to change something over there, especially in the defense. Defense isn't playing too well outside of some of the defensive front, like TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's exceptional, probably one of the top pass rushers in the league. So he's up there. Cameron Hayward did get injured, so he's going to miss a couple of weeks. Minka also, I think, might be hurt for a little bit. But outside of those players, defenses looks pretty shaky. Patrick Peterson not what he once was. So I don't know what this next step is with Steelers. Maybe potentially change coaching strategies, but I wouldn't say blow it up on Kenny Pickett yet. But if he plays the way he has been playing for the next couple of weeks, then something's got to change for sure.
Well, speaking of change, the New York Jets. I mean, Sunday Night Football. That was probably the hardest test for Zach Wilson.
Definitely, definitely. Under the bright lights, Taylor Swift in the audience, you have to ball out. And I mean, give credit, that's probably one of the best games I've ever seen from Zach Wilson. But
Oh my god,
unfortunately, it all came down to a Sauce Gardner holding call at the end. How do you feel about that?
dude! I was livid. I cannot
Mm,
believe they called that as a foul. I mean, I kept replaying that over and over. If he
uh-huh.
barely touched, I mean, he kind of did like a little cross arm over his like head, but he never like really hold on to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a bang bang call. I mean, obviously I can see controversy around it. But overall, pretty good game. Zach Wilson played out, I think, outperformed Mahomes in almost every category and played pretty clean football. That's the main thing. No turnover football, I think, is really important. So I'll give credit to Zach Wilson for sure. I just hope that if this is anything comes out positive from this game, is that he played well and that if he can continue to play like that moving forward, especially against some of the easier competition, then the Jets may have a chance to get back into that playoff race. But just the hope is to make sure he stays consistent and this isn't a one-time thing where he just regresses back again. Because hopefully, as long as it continues and he goes in the same trend, maybe hope for the Jets after all.
Exactly. He just needs to stay calm. Don't overthink. Do not hold the ball. Just snap and pass. Snap and pass. That's all you got to do.
Mhm.
It's got to be you got to
Yes.
be quick on it. Cannot overthink it. But yeah, I'm so proud of him. Also, the whole Jets defense and offense, they're clicking. I hope they're also clicking to the Broncos because now that's a rival right now. Because what's his name? Sean Payton. He said
Hmm.
Anthony Hackett is the worst coach of all time,
Yeah, one of the most fortunate jobs.
and
Yeah, he did blame him. So there's that. Speaking of Sean Payton, though, that comeback against the Bears was wild. I think they were down at one point. Was it 18 points or something, or I think 21
yeah,
points? And Justin Fields is having a career first half, I think, like 3 or 4 touchdowns. But man, the Bears doing the most Bears thing and just blew a very bad lead. Just looks terrible for Chicago right now. Looks
yeah,
absolutely terrible.
yeah. One of my questions was: is it time to trade Justin Fields?
Oh man. Thing is, I feel like any quarterback situation, no matter who they put, it feels like the Bears organization is just wrecking whoever they put in front of them. So maybe Justin Fields trading him might do Justin Fields better good, but I don't know anybody Chicago can bring in right now that can really save this organization because it just seems like there's issues on every organizational level possible, all the way from the GM down to the coaching staff. I just think there needs to be a whole revolt in that entire system because it hasn't been working for a very, very long time. They're failing on Justin Fields, they failed on Mitchell Trubisky, number two pick. And who even knows if they pick Patrick Mahomes, how would his career shape up? I
Oh
don't he
man.
definitely wouldn't have been successful as he was with the Chiefs. I know that for sure.
Mm-mm.
Would he been better than Mitchell Trubisky? Who knows at this point? So I just feel like there needs to be a really big change and overhaul in management in that organization because they're just blowing everything up. I mean, in terms of any position, anybody that goes there is having trouble. Chase Claypool, who they recently acquired from the Steelers, who played actually pretty well with the Steelers, he's not even getting playing time for some reason. So it's just a bad look on the entire organization. So I hope they figure something out at least. But the good news from all of that, it looks like currently they have the top two picks in the draft. So whether they want to go in a complete different direction, go with Caleb Williams with the number one pick and move on from Justin Fields, that might be an option. But like I said, I don't think it's just the quarterback that's the issue for this team. It goes all the way from the top of the organization. So there needs to be some really big change in Chicago, and I think it needs to happen pretty soon.
I can see that same thing with Steelers as well. Um,
Hmm.
those two organizations are not doing so well at all. You can see, like the media, there's always frustrations of the Chicago area and Pittsburgh. They're not having it.
For sure, for sure.
Uh, But back to the Sunday Night Football. Rodney Harrison from NBC Sports, I believe. He was on
Hmm.
the after the game. He was interviewing Chris Jones, and
Yeah, yeah.
he said, what did he say? He said like Zach Wilson's garbage, and Chris Jones was like,
Yeah.
no, he's not. He's not. He apologized to Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh, but yeah, I don't see a lot of like because what Ronnie Harrison's doing, he's being real, and
Right.
I'm okay with that. But everyone was slandering him for what he did. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, yeah, I get like what he's trying to do, but at the same time, I think it's just that you got to be cautious what you're saying, especially on live television, and that the way he was framing it kind of made it seem like he wanted Chris Jones to kind of get on Zach Wilson,
Yeah,
even though that's maybe not what Chris Jones wanted or is intended to do. So I just feel like kind of putting him in that tough situation isn't exactly the smartest thing to do for Rodney Harrison. And I mean, it's fair to criticize players, obviously, like whenever they're not playing well. Let's say, especially in the past weeks, I've been critical of Zach Wilson too. But I just feel like after that specific game, I feel like that was probably maybe the best game of his career. It wasn't. I don't think it was a good look to kind of blame him at that point, especially after that performance given by Zach Wilson.
yeah, man, he performed the hell out of that game, man. It's just I don't know. I mean, I like how he's being real, but just he should say it in a different phrase or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't agree with the wording he used, especially with the garbage and everything like that. I feel like uh Zach Wilson's already has a lot of criticism rolled his way, and especially from the media, from the public, and things like that. So I think it's there has to be some people that are trying to uplift him and at least give him the credit that he deserves, especially with the performance. So given that, I think Rodney Harrison needs to step back a little bit and kind of at least when he wants to say something, don't try to force another player to say something
Yeah,
bad about another player, especially like if you want to call him trash yourself, that's a different thing. But you're trying to get Chris Jones to say something on your behalf, possibly. So that's what I wouldn't agree with in that situation.
yeah, I wouldn't agree with that either. But yeah, we see Alan Lazard and freaking Aaron Rodgers
Alan Lazard had some
walking.
good games. Yeah, yeah. Alan Lazard had pretty good games, nice catches in that game for sure.
He did. But yeah, you think Aaron Rodgers will come back? You can see him walking.
Yeah. So what I've been hearing is that he's been pretty ahead of his rehab process, especially for torn Achilles. He was on the Pat McAfee show a couple days ago talking about how he's been progressing really fast and he's really ahead of schedule. Now, keep in mind, even though I'm not disagreeing with anything, he's saying that he probably maybe is ahead of schedule and did see him at the game. So everything's pointing towards a positive trend. We have to keep in mind the hard cold facts, and that is he did have a complete tear of his left Achilles,
Yeah,
or left or right Achilles, which was one of obviously the most toughest injuries in sports to fully come back from. And at the same time, he is what I think 38, 39 years old, something like that.
yeah,
He's creeping up on the age timeline. So given all that, I still think at this point for a complete tear, it's unrealistic to assume that he's going to come back in the season. Now, if at anything, I would say that if the Jets do somehow manage to make the playoffs and make possibly a deep run, I could see possibly if everything goes perfectly well and he's super ahead of schedule, maybe seeing him in the championship game in the Super Bowl. But that's about as far as I would give it. I would say that anything earlier than the championship game would be just a risk for his overall health and his overall future. I just don't think he'll be fully healthy to play in a game before that, and I don't think it'll be good for his long-term health if he re-aggravates that Achilles injury. So I would say at least the bare minimum wait until the championship game, and that's the only situation where it actually seems like he's fully recovered. But I
Y-
still think it's highly unlikely. If yeah, that's my opinion.
yeah. If it's like 50%, 60% recovered,
Uh-huh.
do not play. If it's hundred
Right.
percent, you feeling great, feeling good about it,
Right.
come join and play. Because
Right.
as a delusional Jets fan as I am, he is my Jedi Master, and
Right. Right.
Zach Wilson is his apprentice. And everyone is saying Zach Wilson is back into his revenge tour of
Right.
destroying all the teams that's coming up. So we might be seeing the next Anakin Skywalker to me.
Right, right. Yeah, the only thing is that I just don't want anything to happen that'll affect his long-term health, especially moving forward. That even if he does plays and he's not fully healthy, re-aggravates that Achilles injury and then goes his next season goes into jeopardy. We want a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers next season, no matter what. So at least we get that whole season in front of us to look forward to. So anything that doesn't jeopardize that next season, I would say is the kind of the key priority to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, as long as he's 100% healthy, because I think he signed a 2-year
Yeah,
thing. So if you want to sign in third year, do it. If you because probably he might not be recovered until next year, maybe
right.
whatever. But another year would be really nice.
Right, and
Uh,
I think he did express interest of at least playing a couple more years with the Jets. So I don't think he's planning on retiring just immediately. So there is
yeah,
that.
there's that. And then if he is going to retire, I just want him to be a head coach at least. Because same
That'd be
with
interesting.
that and Tom Brady. I want to see them as head coaches.
Yeah, I know Tom Brady signed like a huge mega deal, like a 10-year contract with, I don't know, some broadcasting company. I don't know if it was Fox or something like that with some broadcasting company. So he's going to be announcing plays over, I think, starting next season. He's
Oh,
going to
okay.
be with Tony Romo and Matt Ryan, those people. So I think he'll be on that side of the industry and maybe head coach, maybe later down the line, who knows? But I think right now that's his goal. That'd be pretty cool though, seeing Brady, Matt Ryan, Romo all in the broadcasting booth, calling plays, things like that. That'd be
It'll
pretty
be,
interesting. I wonder if Aaron Rodgers joins them later on in the future. I know
it'll be kind
Gronk is already on Fox as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird to see like the players you grew up watching in the commentating
Mhm.
booth because like you see
Yeah,
like John Madden or you see what another player and like one of those players like you don't
right,
see
right,
them in their prime because you always
right,
see them
right,
as commentators. But we
right,
seen Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan play, and now you see them in the commentating booth. That makes you feel old.
right. Right, it does, but then it's the new generation, man. New generation of people coming in. And that's how it's always going to be. New players trying to live up to their expectations and things like that. So just got to give it to the new people and hope they can just keep moving the league forward, you know? And
Yeah.
speaking of new people, Texans rookie CJ Stroud, the quarterback, been playing really, really well from what I've been seeing. I think he's already top five in passing yards in the entire league. And I don't think he's thrown a single interception yet this year.
He
So that's
hasn't.
pretty impressive given he doesn't have obviously the best squad to work with. But from what he's been, it looks like he's been playing pretty solid. So props to him. Hopefully he
Yeah,
can keep progressing forward.
yeah. Houston is underrated. No one's really talking about them being like the top
Sure.
team. Dude always talking about
Mhm.
Dallas or Bills or Chiefs, but Houston is coming up there. Last year they were pretty bad. A few years ago they were pretty
Right.
bad, but now I think they
Right.
have a good team. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I still don't see them as like a playoff team or anything deep like that. But I do see them taking steps forward in the right direction, especially with the way the quarterback's playing. There's still a few key pieces away, I think, from contending, but at least from what I've seen, it looks like they might have a franchise quarterback on their hands. So that's always one good thing. I know the Jets have been trying to find a franchise quarterback for a long, long time. So that's always one thing you want to try to secure whenever you have the opportunity.
yeah, there's like a stat out there. Was it Green Bay Packers quarterbacks? They had like three franchise quarterbacks at least right now. It's Brett Favre for like the longest time from '92 to like 2006 or whatever. Then Aaron Rodgers took over. That took at least over 10 years, and now we have Jordan Love. So that's only three quarterbacks out of the Jets was like at least 20.
Something
Uh,
like that, yeah. I think the
so
Jets and the Browns probably had quarterbacks for days.
oh man,
Both those teams are still I don't even know. I would think the Browns eventually would stop with Deshaun Watson, but even he's kind of looked iffy ever since he left Houston. So who knows how long his tenure lasts.
yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, last time we talked about Colin Kaepernick,
Mhm.
The Rock, the People's Champion, he met with Colin Kaepernick and invited him to join the XFL.
Oh wow.
But
Wow.
Kaepernick expressed disinterest in joining the XFL because of he wants high salary demands, so
Mm,
he was not interested in the XFL.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, props to him for trying to compete at the highest league, but At the same time, I think you still have to be realistic. Like we mentioned it a little bit, that Colin Kaepernick hasn't played in the league at a high level for such a long time. That how can we know that he's proven himself to be ready to be ready to compete right away? So we're kind of discussing that maybe an XFL stop would be a good opportunity to at least showcase your skills, and if you can prove yourself there, kind of then we can work your way up. But if he's not demanding the high salaries for and to stay in the NFL, I mean, he could try. I'm not gonna tell anyone to stop him from trying, but I don't know. I don't think that's might be the smartest thing to do right now, especially considering the time away, how long it's been since he's been in the NFL.
Yeah, it's been a while since 2016.
Mhm.
We'll see what happens with him. Hopefully
Yeah,
he'll land somewhere.
hopefully, yeah, but
Well,
we'll see. Yeah.
well, I do have a few questions here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who should retire first, Mike Tomlin or Bill Belichick?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I think right now it's probably going to be Bill Belichick, man, especially considering Belichick's been around for I think a little bit longer, been around for several years. I think since like the late '90s when he first started with the Browns head coach.
Yeah,
And given credit, he's arguably one of the greatest coaches ever. 6 Super Bowls, and had multiple AFC Championship runs with the Patriots. But ever since Tom Brady left, it's been a bit of a struggle. I don't think the I mean, he didn't have the best roster to work with, but it's still been a struggle with Mac Jones. I don't know if he's a quarterback moving future, but regardless, the Patriots have not won a playoff game since Brady left,
yeah,
and the only time they did make the playoffs, they got destroyed by the Bills pretty badly, and they've been looked pretty poor to start the season as well. And they've had numerous turnovers, different coaches, things like that. But it still seems like they haven't been able to get back in that direction they were back when Tom Brady was the quarterback of that team. So who knows whether it was really Brady or Belichick carrying the bigger the load, but the more as more time progresses, it really seems like it was Tom Brady that was really kind of the leader of that team and kind of helping them head in the right direction. It just seems that without Brady, Belichick's been really struggling to get all the pieces together, even though obviously he has uh, rookie quarterback to work with when he first started, or when Mac Jones first started. So I'm not saying it's the same roster or things like that, but it does seem like Belichick's been declining and that it was really Tom Brady that was kind of carrying the team on his shoulders. So I would say that if the Patriots don't make the playoffs this season, or even not even that, if they continue to perform as badly as they have, especially with the way they got destroyed by the Cowboys, Belichick was handed his worst loss in 35 years of coaching. Or actually, I don't know about 35 years, but
yes,
whatever amount of time, it's been a long time, probably at least 20 plus years. The 35-point loss that he was handed by the Cowboys, the worst loss of his career, and that just happened in 3 years post Brady, whereas in the 18 or 19 years with Brady, it never happened once. So it just looks like I think they're heading in a different direction. It might be time to kind of look at something new. And he's obviously been in there for such a long time, and that I just think it's his time, might be time for him to think about something else. Mike Tomlin, on the other hand, although he is struggling, he is in a system where obviously his quarterback's a lot younger than Mac Jones, or at least somewhat younger, and
yeah.
that he's working with a new system. Roethlisberger just retired a few years ago. Brady's been out for a bit longer than Roethlisberger has been out of Pittsburgh, so Belichick has had a bit more time to work with. And at the same time, Tomlin is a bit younger. I think he still has a bit left in him. Still hasn't had a losing season yet. Still hasn't had a losing season yet, so there's still that. Um, uh, Maybe give it till end of the season, kind of see how the offseason shapes out. And I would say maybe give Tomlin a year or two left to see how he does with Kenny Pickett. But definitely Belichick with the way he was just handed that worst loss by the Cowboys. It just looks like I don't know. He doesn't look like he has much time left in him to kind of recover this Patriots team, especially with some injuries. They lost their rookie Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback, was playing really well. So I just feel like it might be time to head in a different direction, but we'll see. It doesn't seem like Bill Belichick's not the type he can get easily fired, especially given all his history with the team. I feel like it'll have to be his decision at the end of the day if he wants to step out.
It's I For me, I think it's time for both of them to retire at the same time.
Okay.
They can since they don't have their franchise quarterbacks, Ben and Tom.
Mm,
I think it's time to just to wrap it up. But do see your point. They just gotta roll in with the punches with the new
Yeah.
quarterbacks, but they are getting up with age. I don't know who's the oldest head coach. I think it was Tom Coughlin with the Giants.
Right, right,
But yeah, if you're losing, you don't want to end in your career. Maybe you want to end your career on a high note, but I think they're
right,
trying to find
right,
that. Uh,
right. For
speaking of
sure, for sure.
speaking of high notes, Taylor Swift.
Mhm.
There's a lot of coverage on her this past Sunday Night Football. Is that
Definitely.
necessary?
I mean, obviously, with a star like that, you're gonna see some coverage definitely by the media, by the league, things like that. Now, what's interesting was that I remember today earlier in the morning that Travis Kelce uh was even saying that in I think in a podcast with his brother about
Yeah,
how he doesn't understand the coverage behind Taylor Swift, obviously with the whole thing going on, but he said that the NFL might be overdoing it with the amount of attention they're giving it to the situation. So if even he's saying that, so it does seem like they are may perhaps overdoing it a bit too much in that sense, where they're just trying to kind of force it a little bit. And I mean, I do get the point. Obviously, kind of showcasing a star talent like that can attract an audience away from sports that might not exactly watch the football, but might be interested just because of Taylor Swift, and that can obviously get ratings up and promotion
yeah,
up, things like that. But at the same time, I think just don't try to shove it down everyone's necks. There is like a limit to everything. So I would just say let's cool off a little bit. Obviously, I understand the hype around it, but no need to push it in such a direction, or even Travis Kelce might be even a little bit taken aback from how much it's been going on.
yeah. Eli Manning and Peyton Manning have their Manning cast, right?
Right,
Should
right.
take Taylor Swift should take over that?
Oh
Have her own
man, she's got
cast?
to be a guest. She's got to be a guest for sure. I don't know if she'll do it, but that would be really funny. That would be
Like
really interesting. Eli Payton, Taylor Swift together. That would be a fun time,
it'd be
fun
a fun
interaction.
time and high ratings right there for Monday Night Football.
Definitely, definitely Monday Night Football. We'll see if she accepts, but who never know. Crazy things have happened.
A lot of crazier things that happened, but there's this recent interview with Marshawn Lynch. He was
Oh
saying he was not.
man.
Yeah, he was not.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh
He,
man. That
I
was the
thought
highlight of the
so.
day.
Yeah, so I thought back in 2012, 2013, when Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, Legion of Boom,
Hmm.
I thought
Right.
they were all tight. They were all cool to each other. But
Oh,
Marshawn
I'm
Lynch,
pretty sure they were. I'm
they
pretty
were.
sure they were.
But
But you
yeah,
all know, we all know the famous incident about that Super Bowl with the Patriots where they didn't decide to run the ball
oh
and Russell
yeah,
Wilson threw that interception at the goal line. And to be honest, I think Marshawn Lynch never got over that incident without and I mean they should have ran the ball like everyone said, run the ball at the one, win the game, but they didn't. So I think Marshawn Lynch are a little bit salty ever since that incident with Russell Wilson throwing the pick and Pete Carroll calling the play. But I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. It's a tough situation, but I don't think a lot of CX fans have ever gotten over that, and I don't think he's gotten over it yet at this point.
yeah. He's not cool with Russell Wilson, and he doesn't care about Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
But
well, it's tough. It's a tough situation, but things happen.
remember when Marshawn Lynch came back to the Seahawks?
Which season was that?
I think it was like when the
Because I remember he
Seahawks
retired for a bit, right?
he retired, but he came back for like the playoffs.
Perhaps. I remember he went to the Raiders as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Oh yeah, man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, shout out to Marshall Lynch. He has this series on I think on Prime where he visits
Mhm.
the Amish people, and that was really funny.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Marshawn Lynch is a funny guy, he's a cool guy. I don't think he means anything ill, but yeah, I mean, I understand being salty in that situation when you're so close to winning a ring and it gets snatched away from you, so it's tough. It's tough. Poor guy.
Where were you when that happened? When they passed the ball or got
Oh
intercepted?
my God, bro. That was an insane game. Because I was rooting for Tom Brady at that time
Yeah,
and just wanted him to win his fourth ring at the time. It was just a crazy game. I remember right before that incident there was this insane catch by Jermaine Kearse in the
Oh
sidelines where he
yes.
kind of juggled it, fell down, and then at that point I was so confused when they were calling the play because I initially I thought it was just an incomplete pass, so I didn't really understand what was going on. It took me a couple seconds to realize that, oh crap, that pass is completely passed. They're all the way at the close to the in the red zone, and I was like, oh my god, they're actually gonna score. They're actually gonna score. And then right after that play, they run the ball, and Marshawn Lynch gets stopped at the one. And we're looking at the clock, and the clock is running, and I'm like, "Why aren't you calling a timeout, Bill? Call a timeout, call a timeout." Clock's running, they can run the ball out or bring it down really close and win the game. And I guess for some reason, Belichick was just happy with the way the defense is set up, didn't call that timeout. And then Russell was into that pick. The rest is history, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, to this day, a lot of people are still questioning that call. And hey, I was happy with it because it worked out for me. But a lot of Seahawks fans are probably still pretty salty about that, understandably so.
yeah. That play was like a quick
Like a
slant.
quick slant, yeah.
They should have done like on an alert RPO where you fake it to the running back and then pass it to the left.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, quick slant, the thing is, it's so quick that usually it's really hard to intercept it. In most cases, worst case, it does go incomplete just because of the timeness of the pass. Someone would have to jump right before the pass, intercept it, and then jump in order to do that. And shout out to Malcolm Butler, probably the biggest play of his life, one of the biggest plays of football history, to actually come up with that interception. It's a tough play. You really have to read it the entire way. And props to him for getting it done.
Yeah, man. Crazy Super Bowl. I remember that
Very crazy.
playoff run when your Seahawks beat. I love that run with. I think he beat Green Bay in the playoffs, and I forgot
Yeah,
what.
that Green Bay game was wild too. That onside
Yeah,
kick that never was for
oof.
the Green Bay Packers. I think the guy he had it in his hands and he kind of dropped it. Seahawks jumped on the possession. One ended up winning in overtime. I believe that guy from the Packers got cut the game after. So poor
Yeah,
guy, but it was a pretty costly play for sure.
uh, yeah. I do
I know
miss
Packers fans.
Yeah, I do miss young Russ. I
Yeah,
wish
for sure.
I wish he came back, but right now we have what we have right here with Sean Payton. And I don't think
Mhm.
it's working for him. I feel like Russell Wilson should go somewhere else.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the Broncos, their defense has just been pretty piss poor the past couple of weeks. And outside of Patrick Surtain, even he's been getting beat on a couple of plays, but still think he can still play at somewhat of high level. Other than that, the entire defense seems like needs to be revamped. Actually, interestingly enough, I remember earlier today there was the news of Randy Gregory, the defensive end, being released from the Denver Broncos.
Right.
And I just remember just a few years ago he left the Cowboys and he was signed to a pretty big contract, like 70 million plus, and they just decided to cut him. So it looks like I guess it wasn't worth all that money after all. That's pretty wild for him to get that much of a big contract and just be released. Feels like either he fell off or just it's not working out for him. So that's just uh bad news for the Broncos defense overall. Another interesting news in the trade department, JC Jackson went back to the Patriots today
You did.
from the Chargers, and a pretty interesting move. I remember talking about Christian Gonzalez, the rookie cornerback, who's playing pretty well. Looks like he's hurt for extended period of time, so that's probably why they wanted to bring a cornerback back they had some familiarity with JC Jackson. Wasn't really performing that well in the Chargers anyways. So I guess that's somewhat of a good move, considering the Chargers still are paying a big portion of his contract. So there is that. But yeah, still in any regards, the Patriots defense still is it's decent, but I don't think it's living up to the standards that Bill Belichick wants it to. And definitely not the Broncos defense. They need to do something about that. I still don't think that their defensive coordinator is the answer moving forward, Vance Joseph. I think he's gonna doesn't have much time left at him, especially the way he's been performing, the defense been performing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's not performing really well. We'll see what happens.
For sure.
Well, let's predict the games for next week. Miami and Giants. What's your prediction?
Miami Giants, man, this is gonna be a bounce back week for sure. I'm pretty sure, especially with the way the Giants playing in that O line.
Yeah,
Uh I say 27-7
27
Dolphins.
to 7 Dolphins. Okay. Yeah, I'll say I feel like yeah, Miami will come back, or Not Giants, but yeah, I'll go with like 2017 Miami.
Oh, okay, close game. Okay.
Close game. Because I think we'll see Hill pop off as well.
Yeah, I think for sure. Hill's probably going to burn the corners. We just need our offensive line to play better than they did last game. If they do, then I don't see the Giants. I see the thing is Giants defense is just so pitiful, and the offensive line is pretty pitiful too. Now, if
Yeah.
Saquon does come back, that might change things a little bit. But even with Saquon, I still don't think they have enough offensive firepower to beat us.
No, you guys have Waddle, Hill,
Yeah,
too many
for sure.
guns.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Jets, Broncos.
Jets, Broncos. Ooh, that should be an interesting game. This is I mentioned this before. This has got to be Zach Wilson's game of the year right here. They're playing one of the worst defenses right now, at least in terms of current form, one of the worst defenses.
Hmm.
So I think Zach Wilson needs to have a big game. This is his time to shine. I'm gonna go with 24, 24-20 Jets.
Damn, just like the Chiefs game, high scoring.
Yeah, yeah, 24-20 Jets.
I think they're gonna focus on the run game more for the Jets because
Mm,
they,
Brees Hall is getting he's fully healthy now, right?
yeah. So bring him in, bench Dalvin Cook. I know he's a veteran, but just bench him, let Brees Hall breathe.
Brees Hall.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with 14-3 Jets.
Oh wow, pretty low scoring. Okay,
Low
okay.
scoring. Because the Broncos knows what they're coming at, or what the knows are what the Jets are coming from. So
Right,
they're
right.
motivated. They want to kill everyone. Well, not kill everyone. They just want to beat everyone. But in their mind, they want to kill everyone. But yeah, 14-3 Jets. But yeah, any final thoughts?
Oh, just go Dolphins, man. We need to bounce back for sure. Let's get this up against the Giants. Let's do it.
Playoffs, Jets, Dolphins. I see it.
It could be a possibility. We'll see. AFC East is pretty stacked right now. Outside of the Patriots, I think definitely the Bills and Dolphins are up there, and the Jets continue to keep grinding out a win moving forward. Then they might be in the conversation too. So that division, keep an eye on that division, man. It's going to be an interesting finish to see who comes up on top.
Yeah, I mean, how many games you should lose to get in the playoffs, or like what's the limit? Is like an 8? No, no. Like if you lose 5 games
I
and
mean,
win
it is
all.
expanded now with the 17 playoff format, so you'd have to get a minimum of seventh seed. So, I mean, I would say that it's also 17 games, right?
Yeah.
That perhaps like maybe a 10-7 might be good enough to get in. It just really depends how the rest of the season plays out. I would say that 10-7, 11-6 range is kind of what we're looking at, just kind of sneak in the playoffs. Because the AFC is pretty solid. You have some good teams. The Chiefs playing well. The Ravens are going to be up there. The Bills are going to be up there. Dolphins, things like that. So it should be a pretty interesting finish. Well, at least outside of the or outside of the Bengals, considering the way
Oh
they've
man.
been playing. Looks like their season might be done before it even started.
Yeah, Patriots, Bengals, uh, Chicago. They're just not doing well.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Chicago's a different story. Obviously, no one really
Yeah.
expects them to go anywhere. But Bengals, obviously, coming off AFC Championship game and Super Bowl before that, have just not looked good offensively at all. And a large portion of it, I think, is due to the injury that was sustained by Joe Burrow's calf in the preseason. He
Hmm.
just looks like he hasn't been fully healthy, and he's just been playing through it and kind of forcing it. So I think it might be time to kind of look at the situation and try to make sure that the next time Joe Burrow plays, he's fully healthy. Because otherwise, I just don't see them going very far. They're already 1-3, and I don't want to risk his long term future. So just be careful with that moving forward. Don't let him play through injury if he's not fully healthy.
Yeah, that's the reason why they're losing. I should have looked at that before I drafted him in the fourth round in my fantasy. I
Yeah.
drafted him and T. Higgins. Right now I am 1-4 or one and
Oh,
three.
boy.
So I'm like last
Oh,
place. Hopefully I'll come back from
that's
that.
tough. That's tough. Gotta come
Yeah.
back.
Don't worry, I already dropped Burrow, so he's not in my hair. Uh,
Gotcha.
but yeah, that's pretty much that is it for this podcast. Misbah, where can the audience can find you?
And just get me on Instagram, Misbah 6. You already know.
You already know, and of course, you can follow this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or if you can type Brown Boy Wonders, just type my name, Abrar, Abrar. It would probably be the first one in the search. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything you want to say? One last word?
Go Dolphins, man.
Go Dolphins. Jets.
Bing bang.